The acting CEO Collins Letsoalo has rejected an apology offered to him by the weekly newspaper Sunday Times.
Yeah, this comes after the newspaper retracted a story it ran in June this year, claiming that a special Auditor-General report had instructed Letsoalo to pay back monies earned after allegedly hiking his salary by 350%.
Apology not accepted. A former PRASA acting CEO, Collins Letsoalo, wants to be compensated by the Sunday Times for running a factually incorrect story about him. In the June article, the newspaper claimed to have seen an AG special report, which, according to the article, instructed Letsoalo to pay back monies he earned as acting PRASA CEO when his salary went from 1.3 million rands per year to 5.9 million. However, the AG's office has since denied issuing a special report on Letsoalo.
I'm saying the Sunday Times has apologized, but the apology is not enough. And I'm saying I'm going to take civil action. Sunday Times might want to disclose who misled them, because I really don't think they as a publication have got a thing against Collins Letsoalo. I would find it odd. I wouldn't understand why they would have such an approach. I'm saying it's not enough. I'm saying I need to be compensated for the loss, whether it's reputation, whether you call it income, whether you call it whatever. My lawyers are working on that.
Letsoalo has also threatened to take action against the DA and PRASA for allegedly damaging his reputation.
I, myself, remain a dedicated, committed civil servant. I stole no money from anyone. I paid myself no salary that I was never entitled to. The DA is also to still apologize to me for calling me a thief and that I stole PRASA monies. The summons are on their way. We will meet in court. I will never leave this matter here. An apology is just not enough. Not at this stage, after so much damage. I've got a career to protect.
Letsoalo was fired as acting CEO in February 2017 by the then PRASA board over the 350% salary hike scandal. However, months later, the Pretoria High Court ruled that Letsoalo was entitled to be paid the same 5.9 million per year rate as a former group CEO Lucky Montana. Attempts to solicit comment from Sunday Times publishers Tiso Blackstar were not successful. Sipho Stuurman, SABC News, Pretoria.
For more on this story, we are now joined by SABC reporter Sipho Stuurman over the phone. Very good evening to you, Sipho. The former acting CEO says that he's laying a civil suit against PRASA for unfairly dismissing him. He's also called the opposition DA, calling him out rather for a thief, and also Popo Molefe, who he claims lied under oath. Essentially, take us through today's briefing and the allegations and claims that were made.
Well, a very good evening to you and our viewers at home. Essentially, today's briefing by the former PRASA acting CEO Collins Letsoalo is that this comes following the weekend newspapers, the Sunday Times, offering that apology and retracting its story that there was a special AG report in which the report stated that Letsoalo needed to pay back some of the money that he earned when he was acting as PRASA CEO. He had taken that matter to the press ombudsman, and the press ombudsman agreed with him that the article was damaging to his reputation. And the press ombudsman, I read the report, really it was quite a damning one against the Sunday Times journalists that had worked on that story, because the press ombudsman says they could not find this so-called report that they based the story on. And on top of that, you had the Auditor-General's office saying there is no such a report in existence. So now questions are, where did the Sunday Times get this story? So then, hence the Sunday Times was then forced to, months later, of course the story had come out in June, So now, months later, the Sunday Times had to then obviously offer that apology. So now Collins is saying the apology is not enough because as a result of such articles, he has lost his job as the acting CEO of PRASA, and that has affected his income-earning means, and so he wants to be compensated. But also, he wants PRASA to compensate him because he says PRASA under the previous board had also played the story that he hiked his salary up to 350% than he was supposed to get. And of course, we know that the court again then ruled alongside the former acting CEO, saying that in fact he was entitled to request that 5.9 million per year amount because that is what the previous PRASA CEO was being paid, that is Lucky Montana. So when he asked, when he was paid, when he received an increase from 1.3 million to 5.9, that was not an illegal sort of move because, well, that's what the previous CEO was being paid. So he was entitled to request such an increase. So certainly now he's saying all of the stakeholders, that is the previous board chairperson, Popo Molefe, that is PRASA itself, including the Sunday Times, they say they need to pay for the damage they've done to his reputation. We remember this story was quite big. It was called the 350%, PRASA bossman. It says that this has affected his livelihood, it's affected his reputation, it's affected his family life. So certainly now he's seeking legal recourse, whether it be in a form of compensation from all these stakeholders that were involved in this scandal.
Now, essentially, the former PRASA acting CEO has made huge claims saying that someone from inside PRASA actually wanted him removed, which led to that allegation that he says was forged, that Auditor-General report that was given to the newspaper journalist. Can you give us more details around who he's pointing the fingers to specifically with inside PRASA?
Well, he did not paint a very rosy picture of PRASA. He says basically PRASA is a very corrupt organization, particularly the executives that are at PRASA. He said that the level of absenteeism that exists among, the executives is just too high. He says there's nepotism that is taking place there. And he says there's a lot of ghost vacancies of people that are being paid up but are not actually doing the job. So he is alleging that he was trying to clean up the mess, and the result that he was pushed out in this alleged campaign against him started was because he was trying to clean the mess. He even said that he does not see any CEO that's coming on board being successful as long as they fight the corruption. So he really painted a very bad picture. He's saying even the current board, interim board that is there, he says it's a good board, but unless strong action is taken against some of these executives that are there, that he claims that are looting some of our PRASA resources, he says there won't be any real changes. And also, he also had damning allegations against the previous board, the board that was, of course, led by Popo Molefe. He said that that board was very much concerned about contracts, about payments of service providers. And he said he couldn't understand why board members would concern themselves if you've paid certain service providers. So he's really just painting a very, a non-rosy picture, a very ugly picture of how PRASA is functioning, and saying that it's a toxic environment with people that have, self-interest, nepotism, absenteeism, and people that are not interested in making sure that the organization functions properly, but rather enriching themselves.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much. SABC Sipho Stuurman on former acting PRASA CEO. His media briefing today on alleged corruption within PRASA. Over to you.